NBA free agency is here. We are on the cusp of all the talks. I believe we got into June into July, so it's always exciting every year. We just love to see players go different places. And every year, it honestly pisses all of us off at the same time, seeing players go and players leave. Today, I'm really talking about the free agent moves, predictions, where we're going to see. We got a lot of people that are in trade talks, but I really want to focus on the free agencies, where they could go, where they're rumored to go right now, salary caps of teams, and pretty much overall how could teams look and how could players like Kemba Walker and JJ Redick, excel their career at a point where they're about mid-age, if not older. So before we get into that, I'd like to shoot over to YouTube. So if you don't follow me on YouTube, Let's Talk Goat Sport podcast. Follow, sub. Check out the past two podcasts. Let's talk about quarterback lists. Talk about freshman to senior quarterbacks, where they can go in their division. This is actually the first basketball one. I'll continue to keep doing things that are relevant once this is over. I plan on doing free agent moves that happened on the offseason of football and AFC, a 2-part video. So check me out here. Follow me on Twitter, where I post pretty much the same thing. Links to the YouTube page, articles written by me or other people, lots of Barstool, sports, esports, anything just relevant, lots of memes. So check me out on that. So we'll jump right into the conversation. So a lot of money here we have to spend this year. As everybody knows, the Knicks have just been fucking terrible for a long time now. So now it's finally time for the Knicks to spend somebody, get some big free agents. Kevin Durant was the name, but he just went down with an Achilles injury during Game 5. So where does Durant sit as the number one free agent and the number one player, honestly, in the league? What is his value now? What was it before? So you got a couple names here. List off the names of the big free agents. Granted, there are a couple I left out, but this is the main names we pretty much want to focus on. Everyone else is more or less the smaller players. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, Kemba Walker, Porzingis, Jimmy Butler, Klay Thompson, DeMarcus Cousins, D'Angelo Russell, Brooke Lopez, Andre Jordan, Julius Randle, JJ Redick, Marc Gasol, Al Horford. Granted, there are other players like Tobias Harrison and other just smaller pieces, but for the most part, these are the players I want to focus on. These are the players we want to see, and these are the players I believe they'll have the biggest impact when they leave, stay, or whatever they decide to end up doing. Cap space and money is a big deal. As we saw from last year, LeBron went over to the Lakers, got a huge contract. When he got that contract, it kind of brought a lot of attention. Now, I had a lot of conversations today about this, and I'm a firm believer that social media, unfortunately, runs it really just runs what our expectations and appearances are on players. What I mean by that is Anthony Davis right now is in trade talks. So Anthony Davis is in trade talks primarily with the Celtics as the front runner, requiring that the Pelicans would like to receive Tatum, Rozier in a package with etc. picks and whatnot. Anthony Davis and his agent made it very clear he does not want to come to Boston. One of the biggest problems with this is due to social media in the big cities, people are more resistant against getting put in a place they don't want to be. People come out the gate, and we're talking 23, 24, 25-year-olds that say they're going to play for this team and only. That's not how it used to be. And the NBA free agency has just been awful, honestly, due to this. I mean, the power team started really with LeBron. That once the power team started happening, the really NBA started shifting, and then social media now just really contradicts. And as we all know, NBA is a lot of politics. So between politics and social media, it's really hard to get a team, a random middle-class, middle-of-the-pack team, to get a star player and excel them to the next level. Instead, we are forming super teams over and over in big states. And some big states can't get it going. But as soon as one goes, I believe the dominoes will fall. So segue that into Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, currently, as we all know, Golden State Warrior player, just pulled his Achilles. Before Achilles, He was rumored primarily to the Knicks and Golden State, actually, for the max contract. Now, I have a couple teams here that I believe he could go to, two others. Before we get into that, what does the Achilles do for Kevin Durant? Because he is the biggest topic right now in NBA. Before that, he is the number one player in basketball. With LeBron James on his way out, there has to be a next great. It's a clear-cut answer. It's Kevin Durant. I mean, there are others obviously contending. Anthony Davis is obviously up there. LeBron's always going to remain up in the top 5. And who knows, he can come out next season and have an amazing season. But with the core he has now, until the Lakers improve, until his play style gets a little bit better and he stops filming movies, he's going to be, in that area. So Kevin Durant is our front runner. So do you take a number one best player in the league, arguably top 3 in the last 5 years, on your team coming off an injury? Or do you go with the next best option and leave him? What I think could happen, Durant, is due to the injury, he could take less money and stay with Golden State. He obviously likes it there. He's got championships. He's living there. And, he's got a good relationship with the team. And that team isn't going to dismantle. Klay Thompson is on the team, and so is DeMarcus Cousins. Also, free agency is up, or their contracts are up. Klay Thompson's looking for a fat contract. That's something we'll talk to in a little bit. But, Boogie was a one-year plug-in who I don't believe will stay there. Just due to how cheap he was, I can't see him not going to another team. But Kevin Durant, I think, potentially eliminated 2 teams off of the list due to the injury. So to go over cap space. So we think of all the random teams and the teams that just aren't performing well, and those tend to be the ones that have high cap space. I'd probably say 4 on this list is about right. But you got to think we got teams that just aren't performing well that just don't have the cap space these guys have, such as the Magic, the Suns. But then again, there are teams on this list where it's nice to see them actually getting money. So currently in the number 1 most cap space is the New York Knicks, $72.9 million. That is a fucking chunk of change, and it makes sense because who the hell does the Knicks have? Who have they signed? Carmelo Anthony was the last big signing. They had Kristaps Porzingis, but you can't pay Courtney Lee's ass $100 million and expect him to do anything. Now that he's gone, the Knicks are pretty much bare bottom. The Clippers have $59.7 million in second. I love that. The Clippers did a very good job about moving their pieces, knowing when to sell. Biggest problem with the NBA and overall sports is knowing when to sell. If you hold something for too long, your value is going to diminish. An injury could cause that. Really just a overall sport meta change. If a style of play changes, if your team goes to do something else, you're going from a pop defensive pass team over to Bradley Stevens, fundamental over to Lakers shoot it all up. Whoever's the hell's running the Lakers. Your team's going to change and values are going to change. So this is where you get your steals, where you don't. Moving, not taking Chris Paul was a good decision due to his age and injury, and then Blake Griffin obviously as well. And instead they got pieces like Patrick Beverley, and they really, they made the playoffs this year. Nobody really expected it. The Clippers are, in my opinion, the next big team to just keep on running. With the free agent market this year being so strong, they have the space, they have the money. It's in LA. People love LA, and I just think it's going to go really well. Third is the Nets with $54.6 million. They are in dire need of some players. They made some playoffs off of D'Angelo Russell's back. And he just had a great year, but let's keep in mind he had a bad couple years, and by bad I mean somewhat tolerable and then bad. So if you get the same year and you support him with something big, you're talking points, ticket prices, league. It's going to look real good. Fourth is the Mavericks, who are probably the best trade deal of the whole season last year, and the number 1 rookie, $52.2 million. Fifth place is the Hawks with $50.6 million. Sixth is the Pacers with $48.8 million. Pacers actually scare me. They're just one of those teams that go under the radar, and they can just play. And seventh is $41.8 million. And underneath this, we get the Pelicans, who got quite a bit of chump change. The Magic are lower on the leaderboard as well as the Suns, but they're not in your top 7. And really, the only thing that really matters is your top 5. The 7 was included because the Pacers are on the move, and the Lakers are the Lakers in LA. So, big destinations. All the destinations people want to sign have the cap space. So you got New York, the Knicks. New York, the Nets. LA Lakers, LA Clippers. I mean, Dallas, Indiana, and Atlanta. I hate to break it, those aren't the most poppin' cities, but money talks. So I mean, these people are going to get a huge contract, and somebody's going to check it out. So we'll go back to Kevin Durant. I have him going to Golden State and the Knicks, potentially the Clippers, and potentially LA. When you got a player like this, you got to keep all your options and look at the cap space. I have heard a little bit of rumors about the Nets, but I think the way the Nets are, they can go after better pieces for the same price and get 2. I think Kevin Durant's going to be staying with Golden State due to injury. I wouldn't be surprised if Knicks offered an injured superstar a high amount of money. It is not their first time doing it. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I just think, they have to be smart about it. I mean, he's the best player. I mean, do you really think you should pass on someone like that? But do you also think you need to max deal sign somebody coming off an Achilles? Very few players come off an Achilles and do well. Kobe played through 2. Durant's no Kobe, don't get me wrong. But these aren't injuries that are amazing. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins did come back from one as well, but those are also different players. He's a lengthier guy, uses legs. He's got a lot more basketball in him. He's got to be smart. If you take somebody coming off of an Achilles injury and make him the man, the number 1 player, you're going to use a lot of clock time. You're going to use a lot of shots, a lot of jumps. You're forcing yourself into that. Let's say hypothetically he signs with the Knicks. He's the front piece. Everyone's buying his jerseys. He's the reason why Knicks fans are there. But he's playing 40 minutes a game, every game. He's going to get worn out. He's going to get tired. Higher chances of injury. And if he were to, God forbid, hypothetically, re-injure an Achilles due to the amount of play, it's an issue. Now, if the Knicks were to take Durant and put someone next to him to take some of that pressure off, I think that's smart. Which brings me to my next person, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving made it pretty clear. He was about Boston and then not about Boston. Me as a Boston fan, I'm sick of it. I don't want him there. I'm glad he said he's moving on. It's just a hassle. 3 teams I have him going to. Got the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Knicks. Now, when it comes down to point guards, I really think they're the most wild card of free agency because every team is looking to always improve their point guard position because it is probably the most favorited position, I guess. I mean, most people want to be point guards and shoot the 3 ball growing up. I just think that there's so much talent out there. So, my prediction, honestly, is I want to say the Knicks. But the Clippers wouldn't surprise me. I think the Clippers will offer more money. I think he will go to the Knicks if another player goes to the Knicks. I don't really see him going back to the Lakers with LeBron, but he did, smooth things over with LeBron. But I do believe if he were to go to LA and join LeBron and do whatever he needs to do, I don't think he'd be respected in the community, honestly. It just the way the history has gone with Kyrie, I don't think it'd be the best move for his career. But this guy's a flat earther. He might not just care. Kawhi Leonard. God, I hate Kawhi Leonard. I just don't know why. He's just the laugh. Something about it. He just irks me so bad. I got him the Raptors, Clippers, and my secret team is the Nuggets for him. I think Kawhi obviously had a very successful year with the Raptors. And, I mean, he's playing tonight. He can still take home a trophy in just one game. I just think, obviously, the Raptors need a little more help than fucking Kawhi Leonard making every shot. Maybe if that, Kyle, whatever fuck is in Lowry, just actually make a shot, it'd be all right. So I see him re-signing with the Raptors because he seems like a very content guy. if he resigns with the Raptors, I see a very long-term resign, not a 1 year, not a 2 year. And I think that's what Raptor fans need overall. Because once you took away DeRozan, it's just like you just ripped out. You're the guy people have been watching for years now. So once you take away that franchise guy, you got to think NBA is all politics and social media and money, 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 money. So once you take away the player that's on people's jerseys, I just feel like it sucks the life away out of the team, the stadium, and the fans. This is how it always has been, and we've kind of dealt with that. So, I can really see the Clippers though. Like I really see the Clippers with the money, and the Nuggets would be the most interesting. Like the Nuggets were just a piece away this year from really excelling, and it was their first year really just dominating. You gotta think they held first place over Golden State for a majority of the year, and then kind of shuffled back and forth, taking the 2 seed. I believe the 2 seed in the Western Conference. So I would like to see him on the Nuggets. Things would be pretty interesting. Next was Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker is my favorite person in the free agency. UConn-based guy. He's just one of those guys that's very underrated. So I got a couple teams for him. All very interesting. So while I go about that, I'll shoot over to the nice little video while we're watching it. So Kemba Walker is just one of those guys that just has talent on talent on talent. But he plays for the goddamn Hornets. I mean, it's a team that just has money and just doesn't supply people around them. But they are a lot like Utah. I look at Kemba Walker like I look at Gordon Hayward. So you're talking two very humble guys that can ball. I mean, Kemba Walker has some of the best handles in the entire league. I mean, aside from Kyrie, I put Kemba Walker in, of my top 3. I mean, he's just the way he handles the ball, the layup, the everything. Everything plays well with him. Big fan. 4 teams I have Kemba Walker signing with. Re-signing with the Hornets, big time contract. He's a Hornets guy. He's the people that drafted him. He's the Jersey guy. I mean, he's the guy who people come and watch. They love watching him. He's very consistent. So I mean, like, why would you not want to keep your guy, unless you're trying to make big moves in the next 2 years? So, I have potentially going to the Lakers. The Lakers are obviously going to make some moves. Last year, they attempted to get Anthony Davis, and they looked into, Carmelo Anthony. They looked into Paul George. So they didn't make moves last year, and we all knew they would make moves this year, and here we are. They got people to trade. They got money to spend. So what are they going to go after? Who are they thinking? So why not better than go after Kemba Walker? Especially if you don't think the Kyrie Irving thing is going to pan out. Kemba Walker, it'd be nice to see what he does in a larger market as opposed to, Charlotte. I have 2 teams here that I really like him on. Pelicans and the Jazz. Like I was saying earlier, I think, like, if we're going to take Mitchell and Walker, put them next to each other, I think it's just going to be a dynamic duo, and I just think he'd really excel. The Pelicans are a team that everyone's looking at as they're trading away Anthony Davis, who, third place MVP last year. He's always in the MVP talks. He's one of the best players in the league. He is just an overall unit. Shoots, plays defense, steals, dunks, the whole thing. But they have space. They have the number 1 overall pick, and we all know they have Zion Williams with that pick. So you're going to build a team around a 21-year-old Zion Williams, 21, 20, 22, in that range. So you're building your team around him with cap space, with some decent pieces. So, like, what do you want to put around that? I mean, do you put a somewhat veteran point guard to just lead the way? You're putting pieces around. So, I think that'd be a great place to put him. He's a very humble player. I think you put him around somewhere like Zion Williams is going to get all the attention. I think he would definitely just do his job and do his best to get the wins, and he's an amazing passer. Funny enough, reminds me a lot. His passing just reminds me a lot of Chris Paul overall. I mean, guy can ball. And Utah's just one of those places that can play. Look at that, Utah. Utah's just one of those places that just could use a player like that. After losing Gordon Hayward, I mean, they have Rudy Gobert is really their quote unquote leader, along with Favors, who are just veteran players that just great defensive players. So they need the shooters once they lost Hayward. That was a tough one, and now they're being led by, I guess now a junior player, Mitchell, and Donovan Mitchell's phenomenal, really good. So Utah would be a smart move to make this, and they can afford to make one move this offseason depending on the budget. Just hopefully, I would like to see him land somewhere that actually matters and stays there. Next on my list, I got Kristaps Porzingis. Now keep in mind, some of these are restricted free agents, some of these are this and that. So overall on the list, I want to make sure I cover Porzingis because it's had a very interesting off season. Kristaps Porzingis was traded over from the Knicks, who, the unicorn, traded from the Knicks over to, thought I rolled my cat's tail. From the Knicks to the Mavs, and great place for him. I mean, Mark Cuban's a hell of a guy. So I think the Dallas Mavs have a lot of pieces, and I think they're going to be in that playoff talk in the next 2-3 years. And especially if they make any move. Like I said, $52.2 million. They're sitting in the fourth highest spot of salary cap space, and Porzingis is there. So do you re-sign Porzingis with the multiple injuries you have, or do you let him walk? So during the season, he was injured for most of it. Didn't play phenomenal when he did play, and he had a couple off the court issues like bar fights in other countries and looking all fucked up. So I got 3 teams for him. I got the Mavericks re-sign for a low, small contract. The Hawks, who I think would offer a larger amount, and the Pacers. Pacers is really just a shot in the dark. It's just that one of those teams that could use someone. I do think wherever you put him, he's going to do very well. I just don't know what his asking price is worth. Are we talking Kristaps Porzingis that we know in the Knicks 2 years ago, or are we talking last year to even a year and a half ago of just injury and whatnot? But I do think he's a good player to have on the team. It's really just the cost. In terms of overpaying, I believe the Hawks have a good chance of getting their bang for the buck if they feel like that's their guy. Jimmy Buckets. So Butler had a pretty good year overall in Philly. I like the way he meshed with the team, but all at the same time, we saw what he did and how he imploded in Minnesota. So, like Kyrie, when players demand, I mean, look at LeBron. He literally single-handedly ruined the Cavaliers. When a player demands too much, they just leave a sour taste, and the next team that picks them up has to deal with that. So, the Wolves, Butler got traded to Philly, which didn't seem like a problem up front. But the Phillies did well, or the 76ers did well. So, is he going to be okay going to another team that's not a super team? Not that they were a super team, but you got to think Ben Simmons, J.J. Redick, Joel Embiid. I mean, Tobias Harrison later. So, like, they had a lot of core pieces. But if you take Jimmy Butler and you put him on another team that's not amazing, I think he has to go to a big market. I don't think he can go to a small market just due to his personality. I think he'll just ruin a team. So the reason why it's a big markets, I have him signing with Philly for a smaller one. I think if he stays in Philly, you're looking at a 3-year deal, and I don't know. I just don't see it being the best fit. So Jimmy Butler's not a superstar in my eyes. He's a good player, with a moderate attitude. That's okay. Like, it can be dealt with. But I think his asking price is a bit much. I have him going to both LA teams. Clippers or Lakers. I'm more. I'd be willing to say more likely towards the Lakers due to the superstar of the area. And the number one place I think he will land is the Nets. The Nets just have the space. It's New York. It's his style of basketball. Um, he obviously likes the attention, and that's perfectly fine. People excel in that. So I can see him signing with the Nets, and the money there is going to. I think though he'll get what he wants money. So I think Jimmy Butler is definitely sign with the Nets. Klay Thompson, probably aside from Kawhi Leonard and Durant, is the biggest player in the market. I would prefer Klay Thompson over Kawhi Leonard on my team. And I grant it, we're talking, you know, different people. But like, if I were to pick one person in this, Klay Thompson makes it there because he is consistent. He shoots consistently. The man's always smiling all the time, even when people are arguing. Like, this guy is just. I'm a big fan of Klay Thompson. I think he's looking at a max contract in Golden State. Golden State's paying somebody. If you're letting Durant walk, you're going to max contract Klay. I mean, I don't know how long other players have their bench is kind of torn up from, you know, taking Durant over the last few years and Boogie. So like they are suffering salary cap wise due to these players, but I mean, can they afford to take another big hit, or do we have to look at small pieces? I mean, how long are they trying to? Are like when does Golden State go into a rebuild state? I mean, they're literally playing tonight to try to win another ring. That'd be what, 4? Their 4th, I believe. I mean, they might not even be close to rebuild. Maybe they just sign Klay. They get a bigger TV contract. They potentially take Durant, and then they just roll with those 3, and they just play. I mean, that's how it is. I think Golden State is really dependent on what other teams do. If the Rockets continue to keep building, the Rockets are going to get to that point where it seems like when we hit playoffs, if you didn't make a big superstar trade or team mid-season, you're fucked. Like, you're just not going to get there. Look at the Pacers. Look at Boston. I mean, Utah. I mean, there's a lot of teams that just didn't make the cut. Brooklyn. They just need to make. If you don't acquire that player and build the best team possible last minute, then you're just not going to make it past teams like the Rockets and Golden State, unfortunately. So I have them going in the Lakers, Clippers, Mavs, and Hawks. The Mavs would be my favorite landing spot. I have to move some people around, obviously in the Mavs, but I just think that that would make that team really good, especially when you add some depth. I see a max big time contract with the Clippers. I mean, big time. The Clippers need one player. Let's look at these teams: Knicks, Clippers, Nets, Mavericks, Hawks, Pacers, Lakers. Every team here, except for Lakers being LeBron James, needs that guy. They need the big name. There's nothing but big names in this free agency. Nothing but big names. This is a great free agency. Klay Thompson is the guy. So where do you want to put him on a shooter list? I think Clippers. I think you put him on the Clippers. Keep him in the LA area. He obviously likes that. And then, I mean, man, adding him to the team, the shooting aspect would be just so good. Next is DeMarcus Cousins. I got two teams I think he could definitely make. So he signed for pretty much nothing for Golden State, coming off an Achilles injury, bad reputation of just being a dickhead, and he didn't like New Orleans. Now Boogie obviously plays, but he even the game I just watched the other day, I watched him make 4 terrible fouls in a row. I mean, just moving picks, nudging, pushing the back. I mean, he's just a dirty player. It's like Ndamukong Suh of fucking basketball. He just makes shitty plays. He's a player that's just going to be floating around team to team to team to team. This year, I see him staying in Gold State for another low pay contract, but not if they keep Clay. Going to the Lakers because why would you not take Boogie for nothing? The Bucks and mainly the Spurs is my number one team. I'd like to see him on the Spurs. I think it's a piece they might need, but I don't know if Pop would deal with that shit. I mean, like I said, he is a pain in the ass. Will Pop deal with that? If anyone's gonna deal with it, I guess it's him. But I don't know if Cousins got too much attitude for it. I don't know if that's gonna happen. And the Bucks, and I think the Bucks because we're gonna be seeing Brook Lopez potentially just leave, and if god damn, so tired. If he leaves them, I mean, why would he not resign with the Bucks? We know the Bucks are the best in the East. We know that Bucks potentially could make any move. They're a scary team. I talked about like 2 hours ago about the Bucks. At any point, can a random dark horse team, make a run for a player, especially when you're talking cheap? Because I mean, you can just push it aside and try to make it there. We all know that the Bucks are going to be in playoff talks for a bit. So I'd like to see him on the Spurs and Bucks. Oh, hey Wally. Hey bud, you want to just not play with that cat tree while I'm doing this? Okay. Thanks, bud. D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell. God damn. Was he fucking terrible in the Lakers? I don't know what's going on in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is up and coming. I mean, I'm all on board. Look at that move. All on board for the Nets. I want players to go there. I want to see what happens. If the Nets don't re-sign him, they are fucking retarded. There's just no chance. What matters is the money, the cost. I mean, that was a bit ugly. I don't know about that shot consistently, but let it happen. I mean, if he doesn't go to the Nets, I honestly couldn't tell you what team I think he would go to. Like, I'd have to say it'd be only the Clippers. I mean, I don't see him being a Knicks player. Like, I don't know. And I don't know if it's the chemistry with the Nets. Like, I honestly couldn't tell you what's going on because, I mean, if anybody actually follows, the Lakers, he was the player that was supposed to take over what Kobe was training. I mean, first overall pick. He had a couple issues. He snitched on Nick Young. Nick Young no longer, gets to talk to Iggy or Izzy, whatever the fuck her name is. So, like, he had a couple problems in the locker room. Guys didn't trust him. The chemistry in the Lakers was terrible. They were just bad overall. And he finally goes to Brooklyn. He makes plays happen. He played great last year. So, like, I don't know how is that right there consistent? Are we going to get this every year? If so, max contract this guy. He's going to be the next great. But we're going off 1 year basis. So the Nets need to keep him, and they need to see what happens. They got $54.6 million. Are the Nets going to just let him walk? And if they do, what's his replacement? What are they planning on doing? As a greedy shot. So that's how I feel about that one. Next up, I got Brook Lopez, at kind of the bottom here. Brook Lopez. Couple spots. Celtics, if Al Horford leaves. I love to see him go back to the Nets. I think a lot of people want that. I think it's doable. But, is that the right move? Do you need to move people to the bench for that? I don't see him staying on the Bucks. I do see him potentially going to the Raptors with Marc Gasol being gone. Or potentially leaving, however it works. Or the Bucks. He had a very good season. He would just stay with the Bucks because, I think the Bucks right now are at that point where they're like, well, why ruin something we got good? Well, let's just improve on it. That's what Golden State did. They just like, yeah, let's just keep on signing people. Who the fuck cares? The problem is their market is Milwaukee. TV contracts, this and this. Luckily, the Greek Freak's going to win MVP. They're going to drag money. They're going to drag TV to them. You're just going to get contracts. In 3 years, they're going to be worth a lot more money. When they're worth a lot more money, they're going to get signed to a lot more players. I mean, that's the whole point. That's the big deal of it. So, DeAndre Jordan. I would love to get DeAndre Jordan over to the Celtics. I think as 3 teams I see him staying in the Mavs, the Lakers, and the Celtics. Or the Rockets. Right now, the Celtics are also rumored to get Capella with a little, trading happen. If that were to happen, I think his number one landing spot would be the Rockets, because the Rockets will pay. They'll pay for what they want. If not, I think he should stay with the Mavs. I think it's the best move for him. But I don't. He said he wants to go to the Lakers. I mean, he said it last year. He wanted to play for the Lakers. So why? What's stopping him this year? The Lakers have nothing but pressure, pieces, and money. So those are all going to go together. He's going to want to move forward. So I think moving him to the Lakers would be real smart, if that's the try thing Lakers want to see. If not, I think the Rockets are a really good landing place if pieces start to move around. Julius Randle, big Julius Randle fan. I think he's just an absolute stud. He was the only shining point in the Lakers the last 5 years, aside from 5 years now, yeah. Aside from fucking bum ass LeBron. Julius Randle. I got him on the Suns, the Nets, and the Mavs. The Mavs would be nice because it's just a cheap piece you can add. Young, consistent. The Nets, same thing. I mean, he's just another weapon you can have in the back. Plays good defense, has the shot, shoots the 3-ball, good mid-range. Just nice, just good player overall, in my opinion. And the Suns. I don't got the Suns moving into too much this offseason, honestly, just throughout the whole board. I mean, they do fall between like the 7 to 10 spot in terms of salary cap. But the Suns have so many pieces. I don't think adding someone like him is the need for the Suns, but I don't think it's necessarily bad. In my opinion, I think the Suns are a key piece away from being huge. I mean, you can't have all those picks. You can't have Devin Booker in your team and putting up 60 points and tell me that you don't need to put a veteran there to wax everybody up and then hit the fucking court. I mean, I think that's what we need. So I think the Nets are doable, but he's one of those players that could go to absolutely any team. The Hawks, even the Celtics. Honestly, I mean, he's one of those players that's gonna move around a lot. That's how I feel with the next 3 people. JJ Redick, man can shoot. Number one team I have him going to is the Celtics, the Nets, and then the Pacers. The Pacers use him overall. He's a cheap 3-ball shooter, veteran presence. He takes the clutch shots. I mean, any team that really needs the 3-ball. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Derek Fisher. Just a little more, faster. A little more aware of situations. But he just has that 3-ball deepness that he's just that go-to guy sometimes. So he's one of those cheap throw-in pieces. I think the Pelicans would be good with him too. I think I'd like seeing him on the Pelicans. Marc Gasol. Nets, Pacers, Raptors. I think he'll re-sign with the Raptors, but he's getting up there in age. I feel like when you're talking centers just go team to team so much. And I mean, I feel like very few teams end up, like when you keep a center, I feel like you usually keep a center for about 4 to 5 years and then you move them around. So I don't know. I'd like to see him stay with the Raptors just due to their success they had this year. But I kind of see on that. Last is Al Horford. Boy, do I want him to stay with the Celtics. He is just the heart and soul, honestly, the unshine hero there. I mean, if he were to leave, Al, I'm going to go with the Celtics and Mavs overall. I think he'd be good. I mean, it'd be great to see him go back to Atlanta, but I don't know. I think the Celtics would be absolutely crazy to get rid of Al, and it's definitely possible too because they've made a lot of bad decisions, and depending on what they do in the next month with this Anthony Davis situation, that could also be a slight problem. So, but I think the Mavs would be a solid team for him. So overall, those are the big pieces, the big guys moving within the next few weeks, month. I want to say it's going to start June 30th is where the conversation starts, the meetings, the free agent talks, and it's going to end July 11th or 16th, somewhere between those numbers. And that's really where we start wrapping up a lot of stuff. So I'm interested really to see the first piece move. So we know that the trade talks. We got the Anthony Davis as your big piece. Clint Capella is your big piece. But in big players, all the big names are going to be moving. We all want to see where Kevin Durant's going to go. I mean, who's going to move first? Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, or Durant? Once those start moving, people are going to start moving, especially their position. I expect Kyrie to sign immediately. Like I expect him to sign first, or him to sign immediately after Durant goes to the Knicks and he goes to the Knicks. I'd be pretty interested in seeing what the Knicks do with their third round pick, or their third pick overall, first round. Are they going to trade away for a player? Are they going to take R.J. Barrett? The Knicks are just a loose cannon. If the Knicks got the first round pick, the Knicks would have been amazing for the next 10 years. And not due to Zion Williams, just due to the attention the first round pick of Zion Williams is going to bring. Due to them now getting R.J. Barrett, you might not have everybody want to go to the Knicks. I mean, it's the fucking Knicks. It's stressful. So those were my predictions. Going off some trade rumors and just following what we're looking at salary cap wise, what makes sense. But overall, let me know what you guys think. Comment, like, sub. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Let me know what you guys think about teams, what players think is me left out. Like I said, this is really the bigger pieces that I feel like needs to be mentioned. And some of these players might not move. I mean, we got restricted free agents, we got trade free agents. There's a lot of factors in some of these players. So that's all I got. So thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.